Welcome to My Success. This show is all about what it takes to be successful. Tune in for some great conversation designed for providing you with the best information possible to help you achieve your goals and dreams. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's vodcast brought to you by I've Decided Media. My Success. I'm Kim Martin, founder of I've Decided and host of your show today. Super excited to have my friend and one of our awesome success members with us, Miss Tracy Geisz. How are you, Tracy?
Good, Kim. Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm so excited. Well, I just feel like this is, we're going to talk about our weekly winning word, which is what we do all the time on our podcast. We break down and kind of go on a deep dive into our weekly winning word that we put out to our members every week. And so the word is serenity. And so I think you're a good fit because as the founder of Golden Tours,
yes,
which is a day trip travel company, that is something that we can do to help us live in a state of serenity is take a day trip.
Exactly. Keep us all sane and calm.
So it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, we actually did one of those serenity trips, if you will, not long ago. We
did.
Went up to Starved Rock and
that was amazing. That was an amazing day. I think it really made an impact on a lot of people and just giving them time to slow down and kind of calm down and, feel at peace and get some stress reducing,
We hiked. Took in the beauty of Starved Rock in, what's the name of that town in Illinois?
Is it Oglesby?
Oglesby, somewhere in that area.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Because maybe someone's listening to our podcast who's like, where is Starved Rock and what is Starved Rock?
Right. It's up in that area for sure.
But we are recording here live from our community room, the garden, our I've Decided community room, where we have our workshops and our live conferences, virtual conferences, and our networking and all that great stuff. And so we are actually in Peoria, Illinois. Yes. And that trip that we talked about was at Starved Rock, which is somewhere near Oglesby area.
About
Illinois.
an hour north.
About an hour north here.
Yeah.
So look it up if you aren't familiar with it, because it's a beautiful area, and we got to hike in that area.
Yes.
We did some meditation with one of our success partners, Sabra Maurice.
It was wonderful.
And just really spent a day filling up and learning how to live in serenity, really.
Yes.
And so
serenity.
Yes.
in this a peaceful place. It was so beautiful. Yeah.
So I just, we were talking and I'm like, you will be perfect for the guest for my show today.
You.
So
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you and to just have this discussion.
Me too.
Today. And so for all of you guys that are watching us in video form, maybe in social media, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, we welcome you. And if you happen to be listening on a podcast on whatever your favorite device is, we're happy to have you listening. So this is great. So, well, our weekly winning word is serenity. And like I said, one of the things that we do for our members is every week we put out content. We send out a weekly winning resource that's geared around that word, a particular word, and it's a different word every week. And so this week it is serenity. And I fell in love. I guess I've not really thought a lot about that word.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why. Do you think like serenity?
It just sounds nice, doesn't it? It sounds calm. Serenity, when you think of serenity, you just think of something calm and peaceful and quiet and just, it sounds nice.
It's a nice word. Yeah. And when I was doing the research, I'm like, I love this word. At first, I'm like, oh, this is such a girl. This is kind of one of these real feminine words. And I tried because we are co-ed.
Right.
We have guys out there that are members of I've Decided, and I'm sure they're like, serenity,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, I hope the guys don't think this is a girly word. But ultimately,
it's for everybody.
It's for everyone.
Yes.
And it didn't turn out like that. And even Kurt said, I didn't feel that way at all. So I was really happy to hear that, because
that's good.
Serenity and learning how to live that life of serenity and that serene feeling and that state of mind, really. In
Yeah.
fact, the actual definition of the word serenity is the state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
But it's the state of. So
Right.
at first you think serenity is something that happens to you,
Right.
right? Like if all your world is perfect, if everything's hunky-dory,
Right.
then you're going to be living in serenity. But that's not what it really means.
No. And you broke that down very well as you were talking about the word in the
Weekly Winning Resource.
Yes. Sorry.
No, yeah. And just talked about, like how it's a state of, it's a created space.
Correct. One of the things that really hit me with that was that it was a practiced behavior. Mm-hmm. And you said a practiced behavior and a state of mind that you can create with intention. And
Yes.
I think that that's the part where it's in your own hands to create this serenity within your own life. Regardless of what is happening around you, or what's, we all have our anxieties, our stresses, our worries. Our lives are never going to be free of all of that stuff.
Not this side of heaven.
Not this side of it, no. So we have to have something that we can practice, a behavior to be able to be in that state of peacefulness and calm and untroubled. It definitely opened my eyes to think I really need to practice this behavior a little bit more. I think that we all can and practice serenity in
staying calm
in the midst of chaos or stress, or we have so much going on in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Busy.
Yep. Going from one thing to the next.
Yeah, and we got to stop. We do have to stop and slow down. And again, that's what brings me back to Golden Tours.
Right.
The day trips. I had an experience, obviously, on a day trip with you.
Yes.
And so you really pamper.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm trying to create a day for everyone to enjoy themselves and to, let everything go. Let me do everything for you, and you just sit back and enjoy. And that's my goal.
You give gifts.
Right.
We get an awesome lunch.
Right.
Like you do it to the nines.
Thank you.
It's
so much.
really great.
Thank you.
And
so
much. I know that a few of my friends and I've already decided we're taking the wine tour in the fall.
Yes.
So it's now
September,
June. So it'll be in September.
Yes.
And I'm going to take my mom down to Arthur.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait
that's
for that
a great trip.
In fact, I meant to tell her about that, but we're going to go to Arthur because that is going to be. I want to learn about the Amish.
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by
Joseph,
Amish people.
our guest, is our host. He is so wonderful, and he just will tell you everything and anything that you want to know. Very informative. No question is banned.
You can ask anything.
You can ask anything.
That's good because I'm a curious person.
I am too.
I ask a lot of questions, and because I sincerely want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to understand and learn.
Right.
And say, okay, what can I pick up that they're doing right that I want to pick up and apply to my life? And isn't that the way it should be?
Oh, totally. And I every time I see Joseph, I always think, well, we're not that far off.
Yeah, no.
We're not that far off. Their faith is very important to them. My faith
They're
is
Christian.
important to me. They believe in Jesus. They believe in God.
Yeah.
And so they just have a little bit different way of living the day-to-day.
Than the traditional worldly people like us.
Yes.
And I don't know, but there's some scripture that talks about that, so maybe they got it right.
Right. Well, you never know.
Maybe they have it right. So
I'm going to ask him about serenity.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Joseph about serenity and the state of being calm and peaceful. They seem like they are. He seems like he is.
Yeah.
Because every time we go down there, he's like, I have a million things I need to be doing.
Yeah.
He really shouldn't be doing these tours with us. But he acts like it's not a big deal. And he's very calm and, present. Don't you think that's another thing with
serenity is about living in the moment.
Yes.
It's in fact, we're going to talk about the serenity
good.
prayer in just a little while, and
Yeah.
it talks about that.
Yeah, being present.
Take one day at a time, being present. But
Right. So that's another way to help practice that.
And I have to share this too, because I shouldn't say I'm sad, because I love watching my daughter play softball, of course.
Yes,
but
that's the best.
I would be totally going on that Galena trip this Saturday if we didn't have a softball tournament. I've been wanting to do that, so I have to catch it another time.
Yeah.
But you guys, if you happen to be watching this week, which is the week of today that we're recording
we're
this
the
on
16th.
The
of June.
16th, yeah.
Yep.
So on Saturday, June 19th of 2021, if you happen to be watching or listening to this podcast in the next day or two, it's not too late to get some tickets and go on this trip to Galena.
Yes.
You need a day away, a day to just
You can shop
absorb,
and
shop,
just be with people and just be, just have a day where you don't have a big agenda.
Yeah, and be pampered by this girl
I
right
will
here,
take care of
who does a great job.
you so much, Kim.
I could go on and on. We could talk the whole show about golden tours, but
maybe another time.
Yeah, no, it's just so true though. It's awesome. Well, because for some of us, travel or spending a day at a spa or taking a trip to Starved Rock or going to Galena, Illinois and shopping is a way for us to fill up our cups, our little pots of oil, refuel.
Yes.
So that we can have that energy in this crazy busy life.
Right.
I think what happens to most of us is that it's okay to be busy. Like, I like being busy. Busy isn't a bad thing.
No.
I'm busy. You're busy.
Yes, very much
I think
so.
anyone listening who works, who has a family, is busy. Whether you're working in your home or working outside of your home or a husband, wife, partner, whatever.
Right.
Life is busy, and I don't think anyone would say, oh, no, I'm not busy. Right? No one would say that, because even my retired ladies at Curves, they say they're more busy now, retired, than they were when they were working. So I think even if you're retired, you still feel busy a lot of times. And so busy's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think there's that priority that has to happen that says, okay, I got to stop being busy today, because today I need to refuel. I need to fill up.
Yeah.
I need to take that time. And so that's what it's about, know. That's what it's about. So, so the state of being calm, and it is an intentional created space. So when you think about serenity, it's not that, well, it sure would be. I could, have this state of serenity if my life wasn't chaos.
Right. Or if I was laying on the beach.
Well, that's what that was the point. I was babbling to get to the point. So for some people, travel is their way of finding that serenity. For me, my place is the beach. I mean, the world stops when I'm on the beach. I just absolutely love it. It is my heaven on earth. And so I guess that's what I would ask the listeners to think about. What is it that brings you serenity? What makes you feel that serenity? What is it for you, Tracy, that brings some serenity into your life?
Yeah, I think being out in nature and being at the lake house up north, I think that really brings me a lot of peace and calmness, and just seeing the water and the trees, and I love watching the birds and
nature.
Yeah, the nature. Yeah, it really does bring you peace about that. So
So you got to find those ways to find that serenity, to bring yourself back to serenity, to constantly be intentional about that. So that's what I was curious. I'm like, when I think about me, it's the beach. It's like, what brings you guys serenity, and think about that and spend time doing that.
Right. Even when you're not there, right? So she can't always be at the beach. I can't always be at the lake. And because everything in our lives are so chaotic, we have this anxiety, we're stressed out, we have to take a few moments to take our mind back to that place to get us in a state of serenity amongst
Yeah. Well, the second step of the 6 steps of success decide is envision.
Yes.
So I just thought about that. I'm like, you got to put yourself in a future place. If you're right now, there could be some troubles in your life. Like the events happening around you could be bringing you troubles. You know, I know one of my sisters isn't doing well right now. You know, she's been dealing with stage 4 lung cancer for a couple years, and it's devastating to our family. And I could, it's like I have to put myself in a better place if I start to ruminate on that. I have to bring it back. Right. And it's okay to feel sadness.
Of course.
But you got to, and it's totally okay, but you just can't stay there.
Right.
You got to bring yourself back. So I want to talk, before we run out of time, I want to talk about the serenity prayer because, I believe all of us have heard the very shortened version of the serenity prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. But when I was looking and I found this and I was like, I forgot about that. Yes. Like I just haven't thought about it for a long time. And I put out a challenge to all of our members this week to say the serenity prayer every single day.
Yes.
Take 5 minutes and just say the serenity prayer. And of course I found the long version, which was really cool. So I'll read the rest of it. Okay. It says, and so we read the first part, and then the remainder of the version is, help me live one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace, taking as he did the sinful world as it is and not as I would have it. And we'll break this down a little bit in just a second, but help me to trust that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. And those words are so powerful.
Yeah, I like that. I've not heard that longer version.
That a lot of people said that, and I don't know that I really have either.
Yeah.
But I found this was the original serenity prayer.
Okay.
And I know that they use it in AA, the shortened version. I learned that from Kurt, because Kurt he's recovered he just celebrated 10 years of sobriety.
Awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah,
I know. Good job. So he's a part of AA, very involved.
Right.
And he knew this right away because they say this prayer, but they only say the shortened version.
Okay.
But it is a Christian prayer, and so I can understand in certain situations where you might have different religions. You want to make it where everybody universal. Thank you, because I couldn't think of that word. And this, my friends, is why you need a co-host.
Yes. I'm happy to be your co-host.
So that when you can't remember the words, they can help you. And then normally I love to write the articles, but this week I found an article.
It was a good one, yes.
That was just so great because it actually kind of broke down the serenity prayer to help you kind of understand what it means.
Right. There was kind of 4 things that it was based on.
Yeah, it says the serenity prayer is based on 4 virtues.
Yes.
Serenity, of course, acceptance, courage, and wisdom.
Right.
Because if you're going to need to accept things,
exactly.
I have to accept that my sister is not well.
Right.
I have to accept that, right?
Right.
But if I live one day at a time, she's still with us.
Right.
One moment at a time, right?
Right.
So I can't let my mind get ahead of today.
And that's so easy for us to get overwhelmed with any kind of situation. And we focus on that so much that we can't even enjoy the day
so we can think
or
about
the
what's
moment.
going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, we're all worried about that. And that worrisome overpowers us. So by, hopefully saying this and having that serenity and acceptance and that courage, right? To just go ahead and, think of it just for today. What can we do today?
Yep.
How can I be in this moment right now with you?
Yeah, here today.
Yes.
Yeah. So he breaks down those virtues, and of course he talks a lot about serenity, and we've talked a lot about serenity, so we won't spend a ton of time here so we can go through the other 4. But I do want to say serenity comes from the root word serene, meaning calm, tranquil, peaceful, clear, and unclouded.
Yeah.
Serenity is a state of mental calm and clarity. And I just want to keep you coming back to that it is a state, meaning that you have to create that state.
Right.
And it is possible to learn how to create that behavior. And I feel like I got to give a little plug right now for our success partners, because sometimes you need a coach. You need someone to help you when you're in the mud puddle.
Right.
Right? You can't see. You're all covered in mud, and everything feels muddy.
Right.
But if there's somebody on the outside looking in, they can steer and guide you and show you some things that you might not be able to see. So if you're struggling, being able to bring yourself to that place of serenity, I really want to encourage you to consider getting a coach. As a Launch My Success member, I've decided weekly group coaching with one of our awesome success partners is included. And if you're not already a member, you can check that out at ivedecided.org and just take that opportunity to share that with you.
Yes.
But then the second virtue was acceptance.
Yes.
And this is basically what you said. We spend a lot of our times worrying about things outside of our control.
Right.
We focus on the things we can't change.
I've been doing that so much, and I had a moment of clarity yesterday, and it gave me some peace. It gave me some serenity that I had to let go of this worry that I've been having because I have no control over it.
Right.
And, it's whatever is going to happen, it's going to happen. But if I know that, my intentions are good, and I'm not putting it out there to, create this, it's out of my control what other people do with it. Mm-hmm. Right? Because we can't control other people. We can't control their thoughts, actions, or words. And you just have to just have that acceptance. I've got to accept the fact that this is going to happen, and I don't know, I can't control anybody else, and I can't let it keep worrying me because it's taking me out of...
It's like trying to control the weather.
Yeah.
If it's raining today and all you do is sit around and moan and groan that it's raining all day, and by the time you get to the end of the day, all you've done is been like, oh, it's raining today, it's raining.
Right.
That's silly because there's so much beauty in rain, for one.
Right.
And I love sunny weather just as much as anybody. You just heard me say my happy place is the beach. But, there's beauty in rain, and there are lots of things that you can do while it's raining. So that's what I think. We have to, if it's raining, we have to accept that it's raining and not let our minds go crazy on that.
Right.
If there's someone making a decision that you wouldn't make and you can't get them to change, you can't change that.
Nope.
So we have to accept those things.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about accepting the things that you can't change.
Yeah.
And then
focus on what you can change.
Which is the meaning of courage. Right? And so it gives we're asking God to grant us the courage to focus and take action on the things that we can change.
Yeah.
And it does take courage sometimes to focus on those things that we can change, because a lot of times it has to do with ourselves, right?
Yep.
I always say this, you can't change anyone, but you can change yourself.
Yep.
You have control over you.
Yes. Your thoughts, words, and actions.
Sometimes I feel like a little alien gets inside of me. You know, it's so funny because, Jeannie Quick does the vision boards, right?
Yeah.
And I've done the vision board with her. And I have this lady with these antlers coming out of her head. And she's not a very attractive lady. If you can just envision what this lady would look like with these antlers, like horns coming out of her head. Yeah. And she's on my vision board. And everybody, when they see that, they're like, what? That? Jeannie's like, why do you have that on your board? And I'm like, because that's how I can be.
Yeah.
And it reminds me to not be that lady.
Right.
To not allow my emotions to turn me into this ugly lady with these horns coming out of my head.
Right.
That is no good to anyone, me or no one that I love.
Exactly. That's hard to do.
Especially when you're feeling all those, that's what I'm saying. It takes courage to figure out what to do with those emotions.
Right.
And to step outside of those emotions and make an intentional decision.
Yes.
To have a better attitude.
Yep. To stop,
so to speak.
To stop where you're at. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I
I just read that. I shared this with Kurt. I read this quote. It said, "The only disability is a bad attitude." Isn't that so true?
Yeah.
It is so true. That
so
is the
true.
only disability, a
Yeah.
bad attitude.
And
a bad attitude will just kill everything.
And sometimes it's so hard to get yourself out of it. So reminding yourself that, it takes courage and to kind of stop for a moment and to think, how am I going to change this?
Yeah.
And that the great thing is that it's not that hard. You can. Mm-hmm. You can.
You absolutely can.
Yes.
It is a decision that you can decide to do. But you gotta, you can't do it by yourself a lot of times.
No.
You really need a community. You need friends. You
Right.
need coach. You need, motivation, inspiration. You
Right.
need all of the pieces of the puzzle for success. Changing a behavior is it's really difficult.
Really hard, yeah.
It's very difficult, but it is possible with all the right pieces
Tools.
of the puzzle and tools.
Yep.
And then, of course, wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's just to know the difference between what I can and can't change.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And
So like this is orange. You can't change this pencil to another color,
right.
right? So
Right.
you have to say, quit trying to change this pencil to orange. But what can I change? I can pick up a different pencil.
You can color it with a marker.
But it would still be orange underneath.
It would still be orange underneath. I know.
It's just a weird. It just was in front of me, so it's the only thing I had to have an example.
The rain. It's the same thing, right? You can't.
You can't make it stop
So
raining.
you'd be silly to sit there and
Right.
ruminate on, oh gosh, why would someone make this pencil orange? Who
Right.
in God's green earth would create an orange pencil?
Right.
Blah,
Right.
blah, blah. You can, now you guys might be laughing, but you can waste 5 or 10 or 15
yeah.
or 30 minutes really freaking out over a color of something.
Right.
I mean,
We're just breaking it down simple.
Yeah,
But
that's
obviously,
simplicity.
they're talking about bigger things that are, in our day-to-day lives that we can't control this. And a lot of times it is people, right? Because, we have a tendency to want to control people and we want people to behave the way we want to behave, or what we want them to behave. And everybody is so individualistic that's a waste of time trying to control another person. So that's a great, what can you control? You can control how you respond, how you react, and how you behave. And so that's what you should be focused on and not trying to change the other person.
Yeah.
Just as an example.
Yeah. And that is hard because I'm sitting here going, I must be a control freak.
I think at times we all can be, right?
Because I want to control especially my teenagers.
Right.
I want to control how they feel and how they respond.
Because you know better.
I think I do.
Yeah, but they think they know everything.
But anyway,
Yeah.
it just, so I have to then regroup and go, okay, I'm not going to be able to.
Right.
I can't. So I just have to kind of guide them the best way that I can.
And find serenity.
And trust that my prayers for them, God hears them. And
right. Because
and
what
that's
does it
what
say
I can
here
do.
at the end? It says that help me to trust that you will make all things right. So again, that goes right into our worries or our, whatever we're trying to do. If we're trying to control, our teenagers or whatever it may be, we need to put our faith that God will make all things right.
If we surrender to His will.
We have to surrender to His will,
Yeah. And then also remember, on this side of heaven, until, serenity is the end, but it's the means to an effective life.
Yes.
But 100% serenity, that's heaven.
Yeah.
In the reality of it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, and that's why I absolutely, this was kind of life-changing
Yeah, I
to
love
me.
that at the end,
So
too.
that I may be reasonably happy in this life.
Right.
Meaning, nothing is ever going to be perfect. No matter what you get, what you gain, how successful you are, what happens,
Right.
the next big promotion, the beautiful house, one day when I have my beautiful beach house, none of that is going to bring me the serenity, the joy that is going to happen. And it says, and supremely happy with you forever in the next life.
Right.
And
right.
that's what we're striving for. That's
Right.
what we're shooting for. That is the end. And so just remember that, life is hard, and we're going to have moments that are hard, and
it's difficult for everybody. I think that's what we need to really realize too. And if I may say, it was even difficult for Jesus. I mean, Jesus did not have an easy life here. I mean, if you really think about his life and the way, he had to go through everything that he went through, even, through his ministry when he was teaching. I mean, some towns didn't want him in there at all. People were always coming at him, and he probably struggled to find some serenity at times in his human form.
Think about the fear.
Right, he was so scared. He was bleeding
blood,
yeah,
or he was sweating blood. Yes, not bleeding blood. He was sweating blood.
But we were both going there.
Yeah, he was sweating blood, and
Yeah.
you can, and they say in order for a human for that to happen, it has to be under the most dire stress that it's just almost impossible. But anyway, that's a whole other.
But so he knows.
He knows. I just got chills.
He knows what we're going through,
chills.
and so he wants us to remember that.
Yes.
In our serenity. Yep.
So I'm going to end on this quote.
Okay.
Okay. And I just want to say one more time, Tracy Geisz, Golden Tours. Thank you for being
Thank you so much for
co-host with
having
me
us.
today.
Yes.
It's been a blast,
Yeah,
as
this
I
was
knew
so
it would.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
so fun. And by all means, please, if you're listening and you loved or are curious about what a day trip is, or if maybe you've taken a day trip and you're ready to do another one, or you're like, I've never heard of a day trip. How can they find you? Where's the best place to get the information?
Well, you can go to my website, which is goldentoursmidwest.com, and you can see our flip book in there, which we have 21 new trips for July through December of 2021. So they can do that, or they can call me at 309-369-3171.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Thank
and I'm
you.
going to leave on this quote. Serenity is not freedom from the storm, but peace amid the storm. So it's creating that peace within your mind.
Yeah.
And, for me personally, without prayer, without God, I don't know how I could do it.
Me neither.
I mean, say I'm, that's my crutch, call it whatever you want, but I could not do this life.
Me neither.
Without God, and without that prayer, and without that time with Him. And He brings me back to serenity always.
Yeah.
So
That trust in Him.
Yep. Anyway, so thanks again, Tracy.
Thank
Thank you guys for
Thank you,
joining
everybody.
us. And join us we bring this podcast to you on the third week of every month. So awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.